Hi there. My name is Jessica Crow, and I'm the founder of Apogee and the host of Change Leader Insights. And I'm so excited because today I have here with me Jules Wilhelm. Jules is the creator, founder, and president of Capacity Leader Center, Cardia Counseling Center, and EQ-niversity, where she's been doing elite coaching and counseling for almost 30 years. And we've got a really fun topic today. It's emotional intelligence and the 4 skills that leaders need to really help them regulate their emotions and become more compassionate, empathetic, and lead in a healthy way. So, Jules, thank you so much for joining me. Before we get into the questions, do you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself? So your background story, how you got into this line of work, which you've been doing for quite some time, like what led you to that, and maybe even, why you love what you do.
I love what I do because I have discovered the part of my life that makes music.
I love that.
I have always, from a young age, I was like, there's something that every life gets to do in this world. And I'm like, what is mine? What is mine? Right? What part of who I am is designed to make music in this world?
Ooh, I like that so much. Yeah.
And I am fortunate to have discovered it fairly early on with my second degree. So, I got an undergrad in elementary education, at which time in my 4th year, I fired myself because I was horrible. And I stayed another year at University of Wisconsin, and I tacked on a degree in psychology. And then I got my master's in clinical psych and worked in college counseling centers, which I loved because it was sort of a prevention kind of work. Like, let's talk to them, let's get their lives sorted before they sort of have any
Go out
major
into the
decisions
world,
and hurt anyone else or themselves,
Right.
And then I started working in private practice and did that and owned a practice for 20 plus years. And then 2015, I started learning about business in organizational psychology and launched into emotional intelligence, coaching, keynoting, and training for professionals. And so today, what my mission is to train 1.1 million people.
Oh my, I love that.
In these skills that are totally learnable. It is the kind of thing that I've been teaching in my one-on-one private practice or 1-2 with marital therapy for a million years. But it's for business. They need these skills too, and they don't need to come to therapy.
Right.
And it is critical because so much of the workforce is either disengaged or you don't quit the business, you don't quit the company, you quit your supervisor.
Right.
And so if you invest in improving the quality of the EQ or EI, both of those are called emotional intelligence. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute, because a lot of people, we need to talk about what that term is.
Right.
If you invest in that, your retention increases, your employee engagement soars. And I have proof of this working with a company since 2016. I work with their leaders 4 or 6 times a year. Fly down to Dallas. I spend a whole day with their executive directors, training emotional intelligence and leadership concepts, and then practicing them.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So, my biggest thing right now is my EQ-niversity. It's EQ-niversity.com. And it is a skill-based, broken down into what is the neuroscience? Why do we do it? How does it affect us? How does it affect others? What is emotional regulation? How do we co-regulate? How leaders can have someone come in their office with their head on fire and they have a plan. And if they know these skills and they do it in the way that I train it, which is muscle memory, it's like riding a bike. It's automatic. You don't even think about it because of my program, which is a year long, because you commit and you learn it. You can work someone through that to a point of resolution in 15 to 20 minutes.
I believe that. I've seen that, in my own experience, and you've got a captive audience in the workplace too. And I would imagine that the skills that you're teaching these leaders are also likely being leveraged outside of the workplace. So what a big benefit to the community that they exist in as well. So thank you for that background. That's very helpful. tell us in your words what emotional intelligence is, or the,
Mhm.
the scientific definition, whichever, whichever
Oh, yeah.
you prefer.
So look, my goals and things that are fun for me are keep it simple so you can
Right.
take it home, put it in your pocket, and start doing it. 2, I want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3, I want all of my work to actually transform people.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's how I design my stuff. I am not about, I'll do a keynote and have fun, but it's really because I want you to learn long term and engage in something that will actually work your muscles. So,
Right.
I forgot the question.
What is emotional
Oh,
intelligence?
what is emotional intelligence? Okay. EQ is emotional quotient, which comes from IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we all kind of know what that is. How do you measure your capacity to learn to produce intellectual information? This is about how your emotions affect you and others, and how well you use the information that emotions give you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and how you help others use that information from themselves, and then how you work that out to make healthy dynamics and healthy resolutions. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of like clinical definitions or research definitions, and we can get into that. But if you just think about it like this, like think about a leader that you're like, oh my gosh, most fabulous person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now think about someone who's the opposite of that.
Right.
Okay.
Also easy to do. Yeah.
Okay. So in your mind, you have this person who's like, what are the characteristics of that kind of leader?
Right.
That's like, oh, they're
Impatient,
Mhm,
reactive,
mhm,
aggressive.
mhm,
They don't think things through. They don't think about the impact of their words or decisions on others.
mhm,
Um, I'm like calling to mind leaders I've worked with in the past, right? They don't create psychological safety in the
right.
workplace or environment.
Mhm,
They don't take a moment to pause. So, some of those are the characteristics of leaders I've worked with where, you wish they just thought about things a little more before
100%.
before they interacted with others.
And now, when we think about a leader who kind of has the it factor,
Mhm.
they can be just as intelligent, just as great of an engineer or a business or even whatever it is, right? Whatever their training is. But they have this extra something
Mhm.
that you know when you see it. I like to tell people it's kind of like bubble gum.
Mhm.
Like when you taste bubble gum, you can't quite describe it, like what it tastes like, but you know it when you see it.
Right.
What emotional intelligence is really those skills that make all the difference. What I do is break it into skills that a leader can actually practice and do, because emotional intelligence is the kind of thing like you could go to a brown bag lunch on
Mhm.
Monday and you're like, yes, I'm going to do this. I love it. This is what we need. This is what our culture needs. This is what I want all my leaders to have. And then Friday afternoon, someone comes in your office with their hair on fire and you forget everything.
Everything, right. Well, and part of that, I would imagine, too, is due to we're all bringing our whole selves to work, whether we realize it or want to or not. And so what's happening in the workplace, what's happening outside of the workplace, it's going to influence even as even if we didn't have emotional intelligence skills, it would be much harder to regulate ourselves in that moment
Yeah.
and be that coach and leader and mentor that we need to be. So you break it into 4 quadrants, I
Mhm.
believe, these 4 skills that
Yep.
can help leaders regulate and be that effective, have that bubblegum, vibe.
Yep.
What are those skills? What are those 4
So this
skills?
is this is what I call the EQ roadmap.
Mhm.
And I'll send you one so you
Cool.
can have
Thank
the
you.
visual.
You can link it in
Right?
the show notes. Thank you.
Yep. So this is the EQ roadmap. It starts with recognizing that you are talking with someone and it's not a normal conversation. There is either you're having a strong feeling, they're having a strong feeling, and I use this very clinical definition. There's an undercurrent of yuck.
Yeah. That's great. Great kind of definition. Yeah.
What we need to recognize is like, I'm on the roadmap now. I need
Mhm.
to set aside my normal leadership process and I need to take a little extra care. And I use this shift is all about curiosity. I use an image of a iceberg.
Mhm.
What's above the waterline, that's not really what's happening.
Yeah.
That's not what's important. You have to get below the waterline, and the way you do it is with curiosity and looking for an emotion. So
Yeah.
step 1, get curious. Put yourself on an iceberg mentality and say, I'm on the roadmap. Step
Mhm.
2, you'll see on my roadmap, there are the skills above on the top, and in the lower half are the tools.
Mhm.
Okay. So the first skill is name it to tame it. So
Mhm.
we get curious. We say, tell me more about that. We stick with it. And the name it to tame it is identifying emotions, naming emotions, your emotions, my emotions.
Mhm.
You may not do this out loud, but if you're self-regulating, you're like, oh, I'm really irritated. I
Mhm.
need to get curious about that. Neuroscience talks about when you name it, you're able to tame it. In other words, it goes from like the amygdala, the part of your brain that gets hijacked and says, I'm in danger, to like, okay, I'm anxious. I know what to do when I'm anxious. How do I
Mhm.
solve this problem? What do I need to look at? What are my needs that are not being met? That kind of thing. And so the tool we use for that is a feeling sheet. I
Mhm.
call it the sachet only because it's all of the labels of the emotions across the top spell sachet. And I thought, oh, this isn't like large enough. I had to add another E. So it's actually sachet. But anyway, we're not going to worry about it. We're still calling it sachet.
Got it.
So do you know how many feelings there are?
I'm sure there's a lot. I don't know how many exactly, but yeah, how many? Lots.
Well, here's the important thing. When I ask people, how many feelings do you have? Most have under 5 that they can name.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
And
Having
mostly they say, I feel good.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
Yeah, I could see
Okay.
that.
And this fundamental shift is to say emotions are not good or bad.
Right.
They are information.
Mhm.
So instead of label, now some emotions are more pleasant
Right.
and some are unpleasant. I can't change that. But to move through the emotion, we identify it. We use that tool. And then the next skill is when you're looking at yourself, name it to tame it. When you're looking for others, I call it the attunement funnel,
Mhm.
where you go through a process of how to fully understand what's going on for that person.
Okay. That would be helpful because that's usually what gets in the way and creates that barrier to the conversation continuing in a productive way. Tell me a little bit more about this attunement tunnel or at a high level. How does
Yeah,
that work?
attunement. Yeah, it's an attunement funnel. It has a broad top where it's like, tell me more. Like, let's
Right.
just open up the playing field. And then we get more and more clear. We might, there are several steps, all of which reflect what I call the magic of 3.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you take one of these skills in the attunement funnel, you name an emotion, or you mirror, or you simply get curious, if you can stick with it 3 times, almost always it reveals something new
Mhm.
under the
Yeah.
waterline
Yeah.
for yourself or for someone else. We end with a summary and then we transition. So overall, what I'm hearing you say is this: did I get it? Is there more? Always sort of emptying the tank, unless you're short on time. Then you
Mhm.
request a transition. Can I check in with you? I just want
Right.
to make sure I'm getting it. And then we move into identifying what is we need. Okay, so, and when I say this, what do I need? We can do it for ourselves. So we do the roadmap for ourselves and we do it for others.
Mhm.
Leaders need to know how to do it for themselves, and then they need to know how to give it away.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what do I need? Usually people are like, I don't know.
Right.
It
Yeah.
was just
What do
nice
you
that
need
you
in that moment?
listened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes, hey, that's it. That's kind of all we need. And when you're a leader who can be proactive and bring these tools into your workspace, into your life, into your family, into your book clubs, I want it everywhere. The needs are broken into 4 quadrants. This is based on Dr. John Townsend's work. I call it EQ support.
Mhm.
There's a category of things called grace, which are
Mhm.
like affirmation,
Mhm.
encouragement, comfort, celebrating. In the truth category, grace and truth, there's like advice, clarification, perspective, confrontation. Most of us gravitate in the work world toward the truth.
Mhm.
And so when I'm working with leaders, I say, okay, I know you want advice, but before we do that, would you be willing to ask for something in the quadrant of grace?
Mhm.
They're like, okay. Actually, what I could really use is encouragement.
Yeah.
Wow. Who would you want to give that to?
Now, so with these quadrants, they're not like pulling out a piece of paper and like looking at it or asking the person they're working with to pick the quadrant that you need right now. How does that, I mean, obviously you're training and coaching them and creating muscle memory so they can sort of do it. But like that's, how do they do that in a way that doesn't seem super obvious, right? Like, what do you need right now? How do you go through that?
Okay, let me tell you best case scenario.
Okay.
Best case scenario, they've taken my training. They've gotten so excited about it. They've given it to their team. We call it pre-teaching.
Pre-teaching. Okay.
So that when you pull out the feeling sheet,
It's not unfamiliar.
It's not weird. You're like, oh, we studied this. We know this is part of our culture. When you pull out your support sheet, they're like, oh,
this is where we're at.
They said they wanted to support me, and now they're showing me they're really going to do it. How much credibility does that create? How much trust does that create? Okay.
I love that. And it also creates space to have that moment where you recognize there's an impasse. I mean, I've been in conversations with people that I managed or that I reported to. And, prior to this conversation and conversations around emotional intelligence and compassion, and, there was this, you don't go there. You're either doing things the right way or the wrong way. And so what you're doing is recognizing sometimes people just need a little encouragement or compassion. And that conversation doesn't have to be, fatal. It can be actually very productive in the future. But in that moment, like, let's just let's do something else so we can move on in a healthy way. I really like that. And I like the idea of the more people you train, the less odd it would be to pull out, something like that. But in the absence, so let's say you've trained leaders, how do they do that in a non-obvious way?
100%. So you essentially say, hey, I want to support you in the best way possible. So would it be helpful for me to just listen? Or do you want me to tell you something that I really want to affirm about you? Or do you just want, some clarification? In other words, you guess.
Right.
And you
questions.
You create a menu.
A menu. That makes more sense because then they have to pick between. It's like parenting. You can do this or this, and then you leave out the other things that they.
Right. Mostly, and again, because most of us don't know what we need.
Right.
We just don't. I mean, how many of us grew up at the dinner table, besides my kids, saying, hey, what do you guys need?
Yeah. Well, I tell my kids what they're going to eat too. So.
Well, but I mean, emotionally.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Hey, what do you guys need today? You guys are kind of having a little conflict here. You're kind of mad at your teacher, and I want to go, talk to the teacher. But what do you actually need?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I respect that.
Yeah.
So my kids have learned to express what they need. And most of us haven't. So in this space, as a leader, this is where the practice comes in. Because most likely you're also triggered.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You're activated. You're like, whoa, I'm having a lot of feels. Leader has to go first, and they have to be more regulated in order to set the tone. So what do? They say, I really want to support you. What's the best way I could do it? Is it helpful for me to just listen? Do you want me to offer something, an idea? It doesn't have to be complicated, but one emotional thing and one practical thing. You think about it that way.
Right. No,
but also in the best world, they're like, I really want to meet your needs. Let's pull out the support sheet. What one would feel the best?
Mm-hmm. I like that. I think that's a great way to approach it, and a very healthy way, obviously, too. What do you do when, you don't have the answer? So I think about this, everything you're sharing in the context of leading people through change. And there's a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity in those moments. And, I think about the role of the middle manager. They don't always have the information. So they may be dealing with a frustrated or confused or self-concerned team. And they have the same emotions that they're going through. And, what you're saying, I think it's still applicable in that moment. But, how do you, would you do anything different in those moments where you're triggered, but you don't have the information that you feel like you need to be effective as a leader?
It's a great question. I think the emotional intelligence process in change management is vital. I'm going to answer your question, but I just want to highlight how much we spend on creating a new computer system, which is going to be great, which is going to like efficiency and all this. And then the people stuff happens.
Right.
Wah, wah, like this is weird, or it's different than what I've used to do, or it's, I don't have time for this. All of the things, right? That actually cost time and money when you're creating a change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there actually is a model of what the supervisor goes through,
Mm-hmm.
and then what's the best way to support someone in change management. And it's an emotional process.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to give that to you too, so you can flash that up there.
Yeah.
Essentially, the process is very similar, but you want a leader to be ready to offer it, because the person in the change process is not gonna know.
Right. Well, I'm thinking about, as you're saying this, the Kubler-Ross stages of grief, even though that was originally created for dealing with end of life, it's been leveraged quite a bit in change management to help people understand, where are you at on this curve right now? But I'm guessing the process that you're talking about is something that is more, well, I don't know. Tell us more.
Let's just take Kubler-Ross. Okay, so you've got shock,
denial,
anger, grief, acceptance. Let's apply the EQ roadmap to any one of those. You're in shock.
Start at the beginning. Yeah, you're in shock.
Tell me more about that. Well, I didn't know y'all were going to do this, and I was going on vacation, and this just messes things up. Okay, shock, resistance, denial. I can get away with it. I don't have to do it. I'll keep doing it on paper. Tell me more about that. How's that? What's that? How's it serving you? We just get curious.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you find that just by creating space for that conversation, it's not, the manager may not have all the answers, and maybe they don't need to, because sometimes people just need a place to vent.
Yes.
Do you find that to be true?
I'll say about 50% is that's what all of them need. 50%, they just need someone who cares, and then the leader is honest.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I don't actually know fully. I can check into it and get that information for you, but I don't have it right now. So how else can I support you?
Right. And that's really, I think, key to showing people that you care, even if you don't have all of the data or information or understanding that you need, and being able to still move forward without people feeling like change happened to them without their input, all of those things. So curiosity, very powerful.
Oh, yeah. And here's the power of the EQ support. When you say, what do you need from me? They're like, more money. Or get your magic wand out and change what home office is doing. Or, something really unrealistic.
Right.
And you're like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
And let me show you what I can do. Yeah. Here's this sheet. So I know it's awkward, and you're like, how's that really going to work? One of my biggest success stories is a manufacturing vice president manufacturing can't really be further from the emotional intelligence curiosity. They're like safety, execution, bottom line, how many tons of steel are we producing? What's broken? How do we fix? I mean, their action and their numbers, all the things. This VP on his desk has his emotion sheet. Anyone who has one-on-ones with him knows they're going to start there.
I love that. That's effective. I like that.
It is, because it delivers a different message. Like the being below metric tonnage of steel that we're supposed to produce today. It's a problem to solve, and you have a lot of feelings around it. And guess what? That drains your brain energy to solve the problem.
Right. And if you have, then maybe your blood glucose is low because you're hungry, and you've been, making decisions and trade-offs and self-control, and you're just tapped. And in that moment, you just need a little reset. I like that. Funny enough, you said manufacturing. One of my, I had a client that was in oil and gas, and we were going same sort of initial thoughts from the VP that I was supporting, doing a self-reflection activity, building some emotional intelligence training into this meeting that was focused on implementing a new tech system. Like, this is oil and gas. They're not going to want to do that. And then when we ended up executing that experience during the meeting, the reaction, the response, the appreciation for it,
Yes.
I think was bottom line, everyone has something going on. Everyone wants to belong and feel heard and seen. And when we have emotional intelligence and an understanding, not only ourselves, but the people that we work with, we all need it. We all need it. And the entire organization benefits. So
let me just put a little bit of spin on what you just said.
yeah,
It's not even that okay, let's say like I want to have it, but like I started well below the surface. Let's
Right.
just say like I've just spent my whole life with numbers, right?
Right.
Okay. And that hasn't ever been interesting to me. If you demonstrate, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And if that leader can be like, hey, I'm not exactly sure how to do this. Here are the tools I have. I learned this. I want to be better. My experience is even if you do it poorly,
Better than nothing.
but you really mean it,
Yeah.
it changes things.
Yeah.
So I have a process I've designed. I call it an EQ lightning round.
Mhm.
And essentially it is a check-in where you start a meeting with everyone identifying an emotion.
Yeah.
And then there's a short process of anyone have something that's draining them that makes it they're not able to focus today. I have a process that is psychologically safe to get them to what they need from the team to move forward into, clearing their brain space. I also have a longer one of that when you go on a retreat or an event where you're like, I really want everyone present here, it will, walking through that creates such a team unity and people being in sync and all this stuff, juicy stuff in your brain that happens. Your belonging systems light up and people feel connected. And it lightning fast creates a way to work better together.
Yeah, I believe that. And I believe that it doesn't have to be this complicated process and you can do it fairly quickly if you have the right approach or just a strong approach. As you've been talking though, I do wonder, there's five generations, lots of different ages and tenures of workers in the workplace. Are there certain groups that are more responsive to this type of development and understanding and focusing on emotional intelligence than others? Is it, in your experience, everyone responds, positively, they see the benefit, or is there any pushback within?
Oh, there's tons of resistance.
Right.
Okay. And rightly so, because historically, having emotions at work has been degraded.
Yeah.
It has been it has been mocked. It has lost you promotions. Okay. And also, let me tell you, for all of us who've ever experienced that or kind of believe emotions don't arrive at work, that's not good. Let me tell you, the next generation not putting up with that.
Thank God
They
bless.
are not. They are like, we are going to be people here, and if you're not, I don't want to work here. I mean,
We're seeing that already. It's very much alive. And there's a tension between those two, those minds. It's like, why I actually worked. Sorry to quick story. There was a client last year where the leader did not care about emotional intelligence, thought that work is work and I can behave this way. And the ripple effect, the impact on the team that was supporting her, I mean, it was tragic. People left. People, it's fascinating to see the disconnect. But also, to your point, historically, emotions in the workplace have not been something there's not been space for it. And the transition from welcoming those and accepting them, it's bumpy. It's bumpy for people. And that's, I guess part of the process. But yeah.
The key is the structure that I teach.
That helps, right?
The
Creating
skills and the structure. Because, people are like, I'm not a therapist. I don't want to spend 2 hours processing. And when people are not trained, but they care, they can spend a lot of time with someone's emotions, and it actually doesn't get them to any resolution. So the next steps on the roadmap are this. So we meet the emotional need. We identify it. We ask for it, which is super hard. We find someone to give it. And then we receive it. Those are 4 separate skills, my friend. All of which your iceberg. Your history could have taught you any one of those is not allowed or is very dangerous at work or just even isn't mature or anything. We have all
Right.
sorts of resistance and barriers around that. The resistance changes when people at the top endorse it.
Right.
So the next step after we meet the need there, that EQ support, that relational need, then we are like, hey, did you get some of what you needed?
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea is that emotion is processed enough to set it aside and get back to work. So the end of the roadmap is go back to work.
Circular. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Because that's really what that's the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not therapists, but we care. And this gets in the way of productivity. So did you get enough of what you needed to get back to work? Yes, I did. Excellent.
And then keep moving. I love that. And again, coming back to the idea of change management, not the idea, the reality of change in the workplace and change management and the opportunity for more organizations to add in and enhance the emotional intelligence, it's going to make that whole experience of going through transition so much easier. And to be totally transparent, I teach change and transformation at the university level. I have my own training. There's a lot of programs out there for change management that don't talk about emotional intelligence and don't emphasize it. So I love what you're doing. I love that your philosophy and just your approach is to train more people, recognizing that this isn't a body of knowledge for a select set of individuals who can use it at their discretion. It's something that we all need, regardless of our place in the organization. And you're changing lives. I don't know how many of the 1.1 million that you've affected, but I strongly believe that you can have all the knowledge, all the tools, but if you don't have the emotional intelligence, you're going to be a very ineffective and potentially a tragic leader. So I really appreciate that you're out there helping change lives and make organizations, enabling them to be more just effective, productive, and just really great places to work, I'm guessing. So your roadmap comes back to full circle. Is there anything else about the value and benefits of emotional intelligence, the 4 skills, just the work that you're doing that you like to share with people who are tuning in and learning from you in this episode?
Yeah, I think the normal thing is what's the ROI?
Yeah,
Something invest in this. I mean, I'm about transformation. So my EQ-niversity is a year commitment.
That's wonderful. That's how you create muscle memory right there.
Yeah, I do habit stacking,
Mm-hmm.
creates muscle memory so that when you're in an intense, crucial conversation, it comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
So I am looking for the leaders who care and don't know what to do about it. I'm looking for the leaders who are like, wow, if I don't do something in this culture, there's a bad vibe here. And I don't even know what that is. Okay. Invest in your leaders getting this because
Absolutely.
you will see people stay longer. You will see things happen more quickly. Conflict will be resolved. You stay up at night worried about certain things that were said or done and how these people are complaining about each other, gossip. You're going to know what to do. You're going to say, hey guys, get on the roadmap.
Yeah.
And they're going to know what to do. And it doesn't
cascade that understanding throughout the organization as a result.
Yeah. And the other thing to know is that, yes, this is for business. I will tell you time and time again, people are like, oh my gosh, yeah, it helped me out business. Oh, did it affect my parenting? Oh, do I feel like a better partner?
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot tell you the benefit that people feel like their employer created a life for them that was better. You want to create loyalty? That's the kind of employer you want to be.
Lives. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Jules, thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge and for doing the great work that you're doing. How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more, benefiting from EQ-niversity? What's the best places to reach you?
JulesWilhelm.com.
Okay, perfect.
And there's a contact me. There's a link to my EQ-niversity that you can find out about the current classes. But if you just want to dip your toes in the water, I have a EQ DIY.
Okay.
$50, 7 days of a short video and then a homework assignment. A short video and a homework assignment. It's at the top of my menu. And it's an easy way to be like, oh, okay, I get some of these concepts and kind of dip your toes in the water.
Yeah.
If you are a leader who's ready to invest, contact me directly, Jules@juleswilhelm.com, and we'll get you set up to really change your culture increase everything skills that you need.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much, Jules. I appreciate your time. And I have no doubt that listeners to this show have benefited from hearing all that you have to say. So thanks again for making time for the conversation.